pros and cons of the TriPollar STOP Vx. A huge pro for me is the dynamic muscle activation. I love the fact that I'm working out all these muscles with that mild electrical current, and I will use the dynamic muscle activation on as much of my face and my neck as I can tolerate. It's powerful. So this is probably one of the more powerful home RF devices on the market at the moment, and it does the job, and you do get a lifting effect. And then also it's working to improve your skin health on a deeper level as well. Heat and enough of it is the key to successful radio frequency treatment, and very few home devices can achieve this. TriPollar STOP Vx is one of them. So how do you use it? There are a few things about using this device that I had to find out for myself. First, power source. A battery that would fit into a device this small would not be powerful enough to deliver the energy you're wanting, so it has to be plugged in. This is the active end that goes against your skin. You pop that into the connection point here, and this is the plug it comes with. It might not fit into your power point. I had to buy an adapter to fit into our Australian power points here. So this is the adapter I bought, and you just pop it on like this. Now, a really important hint is when you put it into the power board or into the wall, make sure you turn the electricity off, because if it's on, it can spark. Step 1, take your makeup off. Step 2, the gel. TriPollar recommends that you use the gel that comes with the devices. I have been using their recommendation. Don't use too much gel. They say just a thin layer on your skin, and that is honestly all you need. I've made the mistake of using too much gel before, and it actually doesn't work. So you'll notice that when you're using the device on big blobs of gel, or you've used too much gel, the orange light won't come on. And another important hint about using this device, if you live in a humid climate like we do, it also won't work on sweaty skin. So if you're sweating and your face gets a little bit hot and it's damp, make sure you wipe the dampness off. So this is the on button here. You press this once and you'll see a little green line come up. That means that the RF is on at the lowest setting. Press the on button again and you'll see a second green line come up. That means the RF is on at the highest setting. Press the on button again and you'll see a little blue line come up. This now means that the RF and the dynamic muscle activation is on at the lowest setting. Press the on button one more time and a second blue line will come up. This now means the RF and the dynamic muscle activation are both on at the highest setting. So if you're doing RF for your whole face and neck, this is the routine I would do. So I do 5 minutes per area, and I actually do start with my eyelids here. Because I did have that blepharoplasty and I've got a little bit of that scarring there, I do 5 minutes on each eyelid, and I think it's really helping to tighten up that skin. Now you want to keep the device moving so it doesn't get too hot. If you do leave it in one spot, it can burn depending on the fragility of the area that you're working on. Then I would do 5 minutes under my eye. Because I have a 7-month-old baby, obviously the sleep is an issue, and puffiness under my eye. So this can really help with lymphatic drainage. And this really does help flatten this area. So if your under eyes are getting puffy, this will flatten it out nicely. So I do 5 minutes under my eye. Then while I'm on this side, I would do 5 minutes on this side of my forehead. And we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I would never just do RF on my forehead. I would put the dynamic muscle activation on this. Then I would move down to my cheek while I'm still on this side. And a dermal therapist gave me a really good hint about doing radio frequency at home with an at-home device, and that is try and sculpt your cheek upwards as you're doing it. So don't just move it down like this. And in fact, volume is a big issue for me at the moment, because during pregnancy I had so much beautiful fluid retention, so I had all this volume. Now that's gone. So I am suffering from quite a bit of face sag at the moment, so I really am working against this. But yeah, you really want to be sculpting your cheek upwards. So just push this muscle up, push the tissue up. And this device can reach right down to the deepest smaz level. So as you're working, you're just sculpting your face like this. And then once I've done 5 minutes on this side, I'll then move to the other side. So I'll do exactly the same on this side. I start on my eyelid, do 5 minutes on this side. And don't worry if the orange light goes on and off, especially for this demonstration here. I would normally do this looking into the mirror, and so I can see if the orange light goes off. And if it does go off, you just stay in one spot for a little bit till it heats up to that optimal temperature again. So 5 minutes on that eyelid, then 5 minutes under your eye here. And again, that's just helping with that drainage and to flatten the jelly roll. That's what it's called. And also work on those crow's lines. And one thing I've been really happy with this device actually, because I haven't been able to have Botox now for a couple of years. I didn't have Botox leading up to the IVF cycles that resulted in our successful pregnancy with my baby boy Spencer. I obviously didn't have any Botox during the pregnancy, and I'm breastfeeding now, so I still can't have Botox, and I'm 49, so I'm really fighting against a lot of factors that are really going against my skin right now. And what I noticed is, because I wasn't able to have Botox for so long, what was happening is the crow's lines that I get when I smile, they were becoming permanent. So I was waking up in the morning and the lines, you could still see the lines. So after using this, and I've also had some Tixel skin tightening treatments too, and you can see the video that we did on the Tixel skin tightening treatment, which is a safe treatment that you can also have when you're breastfeeding. Now the lines aren't permanent. So yes, I still get lines when I smile, but when I've stopped smiling and when I wake up in the morning especially, I do notice that the lines have gone away. So they've actually vanished, which I'm really grateful for, because when I was using Botox regularly, I didn't have them. And then, yeah, once you get Botox off the table and you're getting those lines again when you smile, you think, oh, you don't want those lines to become permanent, and they were becoming permanent. So again, I'm trying to sculpt up my cheek. So I would do 5 minutes on this side, then again 5 minutes on my forehead, but I'm going to show you a better way to do your forehead. Then 5 minutes on this side of my neck. So you can take this down as low as you want. So if I've got a lot of time, sometimes it hasn't happened often, obviously with a baby, but if I've got a lot of time, I could actually do 5 minutes on this bit of my neck here. Because as you age, this bit of your neck gets so crepey when you move your head sideways. So I could do 5 minutes here. I could also do 5 minutes down on this shoulder, so I've got some creases here too. So you could also do 5 minutes here. Then you can do it up here too, and then again the other side. So it's really up to you how long you want to do it, but do bear in mind that you want to get enough heat in so that it's actually doing something. So if you are going to do a bit of skin area, it's probably better to do less areas for longer than try and do your whole face in like 10 minutes, because then you probably aren't getting much benefit at all. It's probably better if you're time poor. Sometimes I have just nominated different areas of my face for one day. Say on Monday I might just do my eyes, on Tuesday I might do my cheeks, on Wednesday I might do my neck. So that's one way to break it up. And so there you can see how I would move around to different areas of my neck. Now, that's the radio frequency, and that's all really good because that's obviously building new collagen and it's increasing the circulation. I think this device really shines though when you bring in the dynamic muscle activation. So what is dynamic muscle activation? It's a mild electrical current that works to increase blood flow and muscle repair. Now, look how many muscles we have in our face. And obviously this stimulating muscle repair is going to result in a tighter look because the muscles are just tighter and more toned. So the manufacturers of TriPollar STOP Vx, they only use the dynamic muscle activation on your jawline because apparently it's too painful everywhere else. So when I got this device, I thought, okay, I'll use the radio frequency on all the other parts of my face and I'll just stick to the dynamic muscle activation for my jawline. And certainly using it on your jawline is fantastic. Like you can feel, I mean, I'm really used to it now because I have been using it for a while. So for me, it's nothing. But I do remember the first time I put it on my jawline, I thought, oh, it does ping a little bit. So, I mean, people describe it as maybe flicking a rubber band at your face, and it definitely gets hotter. You can actually feel that it does get hotter. But so I'm using the dynamic muscle activation now, and you can see I'm in no pain whatsoever. Like it doesn't hurt me at all. So they recommend using it on your jawline just because you can see those giant muscles there, And obviously if you want those muscles as taut and tight as possible, that's then going to lift your face. So I do love the dynamic muscle activation. So I definitely use it on my jawline. I use it under my jawline here to lift that chin, because sagging chin is obviously a big issue with aging. I use the dynamic muscle activation on my neck. You can see I'm in no pain whatsoever. I can't use it on this side though, because there's some sort of nerves or something that the mild electrical currents like play on my nerves a little bit. So you get that sort of, it's hard to describe, a little bit of a spasm or something. So yeah, like I'm getting it now, and I don't like that feeling. So I don't use it on that side, but I can use it at the front of my neck. Another area this has really shone is my forehead. So a lot of the times when I'm trying RF on my forehead, I can't get the orange line to come on. And that's, I think, because I don't have enough flesh on my forehead. Sometimes I get the orange light on, no problems, but sometimes I don't. And I do think that it's such a bony area, it's actually quite hard to do successful treatments on your forehead. It's actually a really difficult part of your face to treat. And I have heard it said that you shouldn't do too much RF on your forehead because you might degrade some of the facial fat on your forehead. Now, I'm using a home device. I have had a lot of comments because I've done another video on how to use home radio frequency devices. A lot of people are concerned about fat loss when you're using a home radio frequency device. I would say that a home radio frequency device, you're probably not going to be hammering it hard enough to really experience fat loss, to be honest. I don't think they're powerful enough, and you wouldn't be, I don't think you'd be using it enough to cause fat loss. Some of the in-clinic ones definitely do, and in fact they're designed to do that. But the dynamic muscle activation for the forehead is fantastic. It did take me a little while to get used to the sensation, but look, I'm in no discomfort whatsoever, and I'm totally using it. And I'm working these muscles here. You can see these big muscles here that are here. And when I gave birth to Spencer 7 months ago, we had a photographer from the Weekend Australian come and take photos of the birth. And there are some shots where she's behind me and my forehead is just a corrugated iron roof. Like, I was really surprised how it was just so deep, the creases. Regularly using this now has definitely helped. And you've got to remember, I have no Botox and I cannot have Botox at the moment. This has unequivocally tightened up my forehead. I still have lines, obviously. I'm going to have lines, I'm 49, but it has tightened up my forehead so much that I actually went to a cosmetic doctor here on the Gold Coast because I was worried about how loose my forehead was after the birth, and I was thinking of getting threads in to pull up my forehead. And he actually tested my forehead and he said, your forehead is so tight. And this was just recently. This wasn't straight after the birth. Straight after the birth, my forehead was really loose and saggy and creased. This was only just recently, after regular use of this TriPollar, of the dynamic muscle activation, not just the RF, but the dynamic muscle activation. And he tested my forehead and he said, your forehead is too tight for threads. So I actually genuinely credit this device for doing that for my forehead. So I think it's really lifted. So you can probably see when I'm holding it here, you can probably see my eyebrow going up and down like this. That's the mild electrical current doing that. And that's giving my forehead muscles a workout. So it's like sending my forehead muscles to the gym. And they're getting that really good workout. They're getting tauter, tighter, stronger, and they're just going to be helping to lift my brow up higher. And so this is a fantastic way to fight those signs of aging. So I would highly recommend using the dynamic muscle activation setting wherever you can tolerate it. I can't tolerate it under my eye. I can for very brief times just tolerate it under my eyebrow, but not comfortably. That doesn't really feel great. So a couple of times I've just used it a little bit, but I don't really like it. And yeah, I never use it under my eye, but definitely all over my face, I'll use the dynamic muscle activation because I want to take these to the gym and I want them as tight and taut as is possible. So this is my routine with the TriPollar STOP Vx. It has definitely helped tighten up my forehead, which I'm really happy about, and it's helped prevent these lines that appear when I smile in the absence of Botox becoming permanent, which I'm really happy about. And it's helping me just work on this sag that I have experienced after the pregnancy, for sure, but the dynamic muscle activation is definitely helping to just keep tightening up these muscles and keep lifting the smaz here. So I'm really happy with this device. So at the end, what's important is you do need to clean it. I usually use paper towel just to clean this. I use a damp paper towel first. You don't want it to be too wet, but I would use a damp paper towel. I have to admit, getting the gel off is a bit of a pain, but I just usually clean around the little points here. First with a damp one, and then I'll just use a dry one, and then you want to get the dry one totally dry, and I'll fold it over so I've got a nice line here just to get in between points here. And it does take a minute, but it is worth it. You do want to get the gel off. And then you pop the lid back on. And you can just store this anywhere. I mean, if you just want to put it on your shelf or something, or bedside table or anywhere, I usually just pop it back in the box. And then it just sits on a shelf there. So pros and cons of the TriPollar STOP Vx. A huge pro for me is the dynamic muscle activation. I love the fact that I'm working out all these muscles in my face, and I will use the dynamic muscle activation setting on as much of my face and neck as I can tolerate. Powerful. It's one of the most effective home RF devices on the market at the moment, and it does do the job. And it also gives you a lifting effect when you use it. So it gives you that temporary lifting effect. So if I was going out to have an interview or something during the day or even at night, I would use it before that event because it does definitely give you that lifting effect. And it's helping with your skin health in the long term as well to help keep building that collagen, which is what we all want. Cons, it has to be plugged in. That is a bit of a con, to be honest. I did have I had 2 home RF devices actually, and you can watch that video that we shot on them, that I could just walk around the house using. And once you get used to using a device like this, you can almost do it on autopilot. I mean, you can just sort of walk around doing it. Not with this one, it does have to be plugged in, but it does give you the power boost because you're using that electrical charge. Another con is it is pricey. It is one of the more pricier ones on the market. However, you can look out for specials. So TriPollar does run specials across their whole website. They do have other devices. This isn't the only one they have. I did see quite recently actually 30% off their entire range. So you can definitely look out for specials. But if you're shopping for a home RF device, I would definitely recommend this. It does do the trick. I've been very happy with the results. And I just really encourage anyone that's watching this, just keep working on your skin, keep working on skin health. Even if you're 49, even if you can't have Botox, just keep going, because devices like this, 1, it feels really positive to keep working on your skin, and 2, it can have a really big effect on skin health, skin tightening and skin lifting.